Good evening and welcome to this discussion tonight. Checkmate, has vetting gone too far? My name's James Panton from the Manifesto Club. The Safeguarding Vulnerable Groups Act will make it a crime for grown-ups to work or volunteer with children and young people and vulnerable people without first being cleared as okay by undergoing a Criminal Records Bureau check. There are currently about 10 million adults who are already on the CRB database. So the implications of the Act are, I think, quite broad. Mervyn, I'll ask you to kick us off.
NACRA has very serious concerns about criminal record checks. We are concerned that ex-offenders are not putting themselves forward for jobs, both paid and unpaid, where disclosure checks are required. There are two reasons why people are not putting themselves forward for jobs. One is that they fear discrimination, and they have good reason to, because people are being refused employment on the basis of old or other wholly irrelevant cautions or convictions. For instance, last week I took a call from a recently retired man who had been turned down for a volunteer position as an ambulance driver. On the basis of he'd been caught sleeping with his underage girlfriend. Now, of course, that's a relevant offence, but it was 46 years ago when he was a 16-year-old who didn't know any better. And he has for many years since then worked as an ambulance driver in the pre-disclosure age. A great many of the disclosure checks are illegal. The Criminal Records Bureau turns a blind eye to these because it doesn't want to be accused by the press of putting vulnerable people at risk because it's refusing to carry out checks. The second reason that people do not put themselves forward for jobs is because they're too embarrassed to do so. Whether they were cautioned or convicted of shoplifting 5, 10, 20 years ago, they find that they cannot bring themselves to disclose information about stuff that is personal, private and confidential. Once upon a time, if you went off the rails when you were young, but you stopped in time, you could put your past behind you and leave a materially successful and law-abiding life, confident that your confidential record would not be disclosed. Sadly, any young man or woman going off the rails today will not have the same life chances. They will find that their past come back to haunt them time and time again, and no matter how determined they are, they will be denied opportunities. And with the introduction of the Safeguarding Vulnerable Groups Act, this will increase enormously. Now, if the CRB eventually get round to introducing basic disclosures, and that is their intention, and they've already been introduced in Scotland, we will have a system of universal criminal record checks and discrimination and social exclusion on a scale so far unseen. This is unfortunate, you might say, but what ultimately matters is the protection of children. And if that adversely affects some people, then so be it. The Home Office issued a press release in 2005 trumpeting the fact that 20,000 unsuitable people had been refused employment and prevented from gaining access to children and vulnerable adults as a result of CRB checks carried out in 2004. The main offence committed by these 20,000 wasn't violent offences or sexual offences, it was theft. Amongst the other offences committed by the unsuitable people were fraud and forgery, driving offences and being drunk and disorderly. The Home Office regularly refer to these figures in defence of the CRB. The problem, as I've indicated, is that it deters an awful lot of other people who are no risk to anyone, and that has consequences for us all. Thank you.